introduction, and we will learn about its significance as a career growth engine. We are proudly saying that this is the first international collaboration of MIST Innovation Club. And today, for conducting this webinar, we have an extraordinary person with us. We have Mr. Santosh Avasarkar, who is the co-founder of Pᴜsɪṛᴜ Global Business Solutions. Good evening, Mr. Santosh. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Miss Mim. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, we are grateful to have you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're audible. Okay, I'll get back to you shortly. But first, I'd like to give a short briefing of today's agendas. Today, we will have an introduction to Lean Six Sigma. Then we will learn about why should one consider Lean Six Sigma as a valuable career growth. Then we will take a look at the importance of LSS, fraternity, and today's relevance. Then we will know what do global top 100 graduate or PG colleges think about Lean Six Sigma as a career opportunity for their students. Lastly, we will have an overview to Pᴜsɪṛᴜ initiative of Advanced Lean Six Sigma Green Belt program, and finally, we will have a question and answer session. So far, this is conducted by me, Mumtahina Mim. The question and answer session and the ending will be conducted by my co-host Saadman Kabir. And as always, I'm requesting our audiences to write down their questions or comments or any kind of suggestion in the chat box. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'm requesting Mr. Santosh Avasarkar for starting today's webinar. Mr. Santosh, the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much, Miss Mim, for a wonderful introduction, and I'm really looking forward for this. Before we just proceed, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Perfect. I'm sorry, there might be some network issue around. That's why I'm not putting my the video
No, it's
on.
fine. It's completely fine.
Before you proceed, I have a small request. Please do share hosting access with Pᴜsɪṛᴜ Global Business Solutions, so that one of my colleague Sonal will share the presentation with all of us. So great.
Sure.
Let's start. First of all, I'd like to thank management of Military Institute of Science and Technology. I'd like to thank Saadman, and I'd like to thank Miss Mim, and of course I'd also like to thank Mr. Abdullah Al Momin, if he's around, because he somehow ensured me to get connected with Saadman. So I'd like to thank everyone for such a wonderful opportunity, and we look forward for this particular session. Yes, before we just proceed, this is a great honor for me, to get associated with, MIST, with you all, and of course with Bangladesh, the fastest growing economy, in our region, right? So first of all, I need to congratulate you. Amazing journey of Bangladesh. In fact, a couple of days back, when IMF came up with a recent report, it talked about how India's per capita GDP is less than that of Bangladesh, and people were started getting quite mesmerized, quite shocked, to be very honest, at this side of the region. However, to be very honest, I never got surprised, because the good friends of mine, they are from Bangladesh, and I know how talented, bunch of people you all are. And I'm very much sure the people of my age right now who are taking, transforming the economy of your country, and then the future leaders, into you, who will take it ahead. So if people of my age is making Bangladesh as one of the fastest growing economy in the region, I'm very much sure you people will take it ahead and make it one of the fastest growing economy across globe. So on that particular congratulatory note, let me request my colleague Sonal to just share the screen, and we'll proceed accordingly. Sonal?
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sharing the screen.
Perfect. So yes, today's session will be divided into 4 phases. Phase 1, I'm going to talk about the Lean Six Sigma and the relevance of Lean Six Sigma today. Of course, prior to that, I'm going to introduce myself as well, which I will do. Then in second half, we'll go through the framework of Lean Six Sigma. What is Lean Six Sigma? What are different phases? This is the projectile based approach. So what are different angles of of it. We're going to talk on that. Third, of course, we'll just go through the Insight Fellowship program which we are conducting here, and we got a wonderful exposure to this and overwhelming responses across various institutions, and that perhaps made us to reach out to my friends based out of Bangladesh, and that is how I got an opportunity to reach out to Saadman and to MIST as well. So we're going to talk about that Insight Fellowship program, and as Ms. Min told, we're going to have a last session on question answer session, and I'm really looking forward for that question answer session as well. So we're going to cover it in two hours or so, and if it is going to get extended, I'm absolutely fine, because my purpose is to just reaching out to you with all these things. So on that particular note, let me start with my introduction. I'm 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐭𝐨𝐬𝐡. I did my graduation in pharmaceutical engineering from India in India. Then I did my MBA in India. And then I went to US and I studied in University of Wisconsin Medicine, which is one of the renowned public university, top 15 public university, and I got a fellowship over there. So I studied over there, and when I came back, I joined into world's renowned media giant group, and there I got introduced to one of my boss. I would say he's more than a boss. He's my elder brother, and he's also from Bangladesh. So he studied in Bangladesh, went ahead, did his masters in England, in London, and then now he's settled in Washington. So my brother, elder brother Afsan Khan, to be very honest, I'm really, in fact, whatever I'm today, Afsan do have a great share into that. So Afsan, thanks to him on that note. So I got an opportunity to work under him, where I was handling Asia Pac Pacific region for analytics division of one of the financial giant, media giant. Then I happened to work with India's one of the fastest growing IT company, IT and IT consultancy services company. Then I happened to get associated with the world's renowned bank, number one bank, I would say, and of course the European number one bank too. Meanwhile, also got a handholding from global management consultancy firms, and that's really helped me to shape my career, to be very honest. So I started my journey in analytics. Those were the early days in analytics. Then I moved into, that's an obvious path for all of us, was getting into business excellence. So that's where I entered into. And then the obvious extension of business excellence is business transformation. And the foundation of all these things is Lean Six Sigma and operational excellence, business excellence, business re-engineering and business transformation. All these do have a foundation into Lean Six Sigma. So I happen to do my Lean Six Sigma green belt. Then I'm a certified Lean Six Sigma black belt from American Society of Quality. I'm also project management professional, PMI, US-based project management institution certified, PMP. I'm a certified outsourcing professional. And then I did my master black belt, from Swiss body of knowledge, and that is how my career, to be very honest, taken next step. Then by 2017 around, we started our own company. So honestly, where we are from, we are actually in India. We are from a western part of India. I'm sure you must have heard about Bollywood and Mumbai, Shah Rukh Khan and Sachin Tendulkar. So all we are from the, we all are from the western side of India, which is called Maharashtra. The state is Maharashtra, and Mumbai, Bombay is a capital city of Maharashtra, and 120 kilometers from Mumbai is a place called Pune, which is also a cultural capital, to be very honest, of Maharashtra. So we are from that particular place, almost around 2,000 kilometers, if I'm not wrong, away from you. But that's through distance, but I'm very much sure not through the heart, because I got a wonderful friends in Bangladesh, and I'm really thankful towards them. So we started our company, way back, couple of around 3 to 4 years back, and our intention was whatever we learned with this large cap companies globally, we got to bring it to the small and mid-sized companies around. That's what the intention we had. And the location which I talked about, Pune, it is they call it a Detroit of India. Detroit is industrialized kind of a place in US, in Michigan. I'm sure many of you must be aware of this fact. So likewise, Pune is known for industrial development corporations. So we do have 8 industrial development corporations, kind of a development zones, and there are more than 20,000 companies around in the location where I'm from. Most of them are large cap companies, small cap companies. Just name the company, and you do have their locations or their place in my location. Just like New Jersey, in near New York, right? So you can imagine what I'm talking about. So we thought that there's a wonderful opportunity, so we can just bring all these expertise of business excellence to small and mid-sized companies, and that really made us to start a company. So one of my other co-founder, who was my, to be very honest, benchmate, I would say, from my college days. The way I'm sure many of you, are friends of each other, from your school days and college days, and doing your engineering today together. So we just somehow managed to come and meet in one of our get-togethers, and then we were just talking about what we're doing and all those, and that's where we thought that this is a wonderful opportunity. Let's start something on this front, and that's where we started a company called Pᴜsɪɪᴟ Global Business Solutions, and our intention was to serve to small and mid-sized companies with all our business excellence expertise. And in that particular context, in a couple of years' time, we just moved up, and we started building our own softwares. So we are into operational excellence, and provide business excellence related softwares. To be very honest, as I was just talking to telling to Saadman a couple of days back, I'm also get associated with one of the professor from IBA Bangladesh, and he's a good friend of mine. On this particular front, operational excellence and all these things. So got associated on all these fronts, and we started our own softwares as well. And of course, while doing this, we realized one thing, that there is no much awareness about business excellence or operational excellence, or inefficiency minimization and all these angles in our region. When I'm saying our region, India, that also include, unfortunately, Bangladesh too. This is what Dr. Ridwanul also told me from IBA. So in our South Asia, we have to generate that particular awareness. And neighboring country like China, of course, they started working on all these things almost 15, 20 years back. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity, wonderful thing, where we have to generate that awareness first. So in that particular context, we started reaching out to various colleges around in Maharashtra. Maharashtra is the most developed industrialized state in India. So we started reaching out, and the backbone of that industrialization is of course education institutions. So we started reaching out to various institutions and started spreading the awareness, in engineers, in B schools, in engineering institutions, B school, science institutions, even the commerce institutions as well. That how it will help build the career and all those things. Unfortunately, people are not much aware how this can help you get a wonderful career. So while doing that, I just approached to Ridwanul sir as well, Dr. Ridwanul, that can we have it in IBA and around, and that's where it started for the Bangladesh. And somehow I managed to reach out to Abdullah, and he introduced me to Saadman, and I guess the credit goes to Saadman, Miss Ming, to arrange this particular session, and right now I'm in front of you. So our purpose is to generate that particular awareness, that how it is going to help us, especially post corona. In India, we are in fact, people started talking about post corona and before corona and after corona, BC and AC kind of thing. And I think I'm very much sure it not only has impacted India, for that matter, it has impacted the whole globe. The corona and ill effect of corona on the economy and all those things. So, on that front, we thought that let's go through various colleges and generate this particular opportunity, this particular understanding in graduate students. And why with the graduate students? Because this has already started with US universities almost few years back. So why should we remain behind? We should start it at early as possible. And that's how we'll take it ahead. And that was the intention. We also started reaching out, generating the awareness through small scale companies as well. So there are different chambers of commerce around, like the largest chambers of commerce in India, Maratha chambers of commerce, Bombay chambers of commerce, Deccan chambers of commerce. So we started reaching out there, and so our focus is, other than our operational excellence based businesses, into our consultancy services, and into our software services, where we are catering global companies, not only Indian companies. Now we started catering the global companies as well. In fact, I'm very pleased to mention that one of our recent client is world's renowned social networking giant. I'm very much sure you must be having your account on that particular social media platform. So we got that's based out of San Francisco. So through our Singapore based partner, we started catering our services to this global social media giant, number one, number two social media giant. I'm very much sure you can guess it, but I cannot name it on the record because we already have signed a non-disclosure agreement with every client of ours. So this is how the business aim, and this is how our social aim, that we want to generate this awareness, come up with a low cost kind of programs for students, for small and mid-sized companies, and we are quite pleased that to have this particular opportunity. So I guess on that note, I just took this much of time because I wanted to set the tone for our session. So let's start with our session, and this is more or less on business excellence and all these things. So first phase is going to talk about relevance of Lean Six Sigma operational excellence, especially for graduates and postgraduates or young professionals who want to enter into the global business market or global job market, for that matter, not only in Bangladesh or in India, across globe for that matter. So is there anything which can help you to actually architect your own career in a much better way? I guess I'm going to talk on that. And I'm not saying that is the only thing, but over the last 18 years, I got associated with this field, and I have seen how people got benefited out of it, made the career at a huge level globally too, not only locally, domestically, but globally too. So I thought, let's spread that awareness, and let's see if it could help many of you to make a wonderful career out of it. So yes, the very first slide talk about take back the control of your career. To be very honest, on our side, our region, to be very honest, South Asian region, that includes Bangladesh and India as well. They're saying the biggest advantage of Bangladesh, for that matter, India, is it's a young economy. To be very honest, they're calling us young country. What it really meant by young country. So India, with a population of 137 crore people around, around 20-25% are young people who are into the age group of 20 to 20 to 30, sorry, 20 to 35. So that is close to, out of 137 crore people in India, that is close to more than 30 to 35 crore people in India are into this particular range. Same applies with Bangladesh. If I'm not wrong, 16 crore people, 16 crore is a population of Bangladesh. 16 plus, you please correct me on that front. And even if 20-25% that are young people, that close to 4 crore 40 million people, right? And that is why the country like Bangladesh, country like India are called a young nations, the country of young people, who can really make or take it ahead, to be very honest. And I think people have proven it. The people of my age, or who are really transforming our country India, at the same time your country Bangladesh as well, and you people who are the future's leader, who are going to do the same thing in coming few years. So these countries are the country, are the young nations, because they do have a younger resources in numbers. There are many countries on this planet where they don't even have the population half of the size of what the population of young people in the country like Bangladesh or country like India. So that's the power of these future superpowers, to be very honest. But that is one side to look that particular coin. Another side is, to be very honest, even though we do have the numbers of young professionals, but to young people who are becoming the young professionals, but the point is, the supply side, Sonal, can we have the screen? I'm not able to see the screen. Uh, sorry to just intervene. Sonal, are you there?
It's fine.
Uh, yeah, perfect. So when you're talking about the equilibrium of supply and your demand, supply side is quite prominent at our end. Please, thank you so much, Sadman. But can I take the questions at the end of the session? If it is okay with
Yeah,
everyone.
I've just given time for people to just think about it and then just keep the
Absolutely.
questions, and I'll read it to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, the two sides, when you're talking about supply and demand sides, definitely we are the young nation, and that is one way to look towards our economy. Another way to look towards our economy is, unfortunately, at our end, when I'm saying our means Bangladesh and India both, at our end, supply size is huge, but unfortunately, demand side is not developing that exponentially. So the equilibrium will always get slanted towards dominance of demand side and not that of supply side. So whether it's in India, whether this is Bangladesh, this is going to happen, and this is happening, to be very honest. And I guess that is why, when you are depending on someone right at that end, and when that someone who's going to recruit you or me for that matter, if they know that the people from the supply side, like you, me, and others, depending on that side, the demand side, their actual exploitation will start. In the language of ILO, International Labor Organization, they came up with the vulnerably exploitable jobs, and they have mentioned this, where people do get less salary, not getting a good environment to work, and all those, they all are come into the definition or under the umbrella called vulnerably employed people, right? So there's always a possibility that people, or the young generation from our region will work under vulnerably employable situations and conditions rest of their life, right? And that is perhaps one of the disadvantage, and that is why I just purposefully mentioned this first slide, which is nothing but take back the control of your career. So our control, control is something. It's either in your hand, or it's in the hands of someone else. So today, if the control of our career is not in hand, it means it's in hands of someone else. Or in other words, if it is in the hands of the demand side, it is certainly not in our side, in our hands. So this is why I just made this bold statement. And when I'm making this statement, when I'm making this hypothesis, I got to come up with few examples. So let me start with the example from India side, and then I'll come up with the examples from Bangladesh side as well, which I have just checked out through internet. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to show you that. At the same time, I'm going to give you, the references, the link as well, so that you yourself can check it out. So shall we move to the next slide, Sonal? Right. So post-corona, I'm sure it's really got impacted the whole globe. Likewise, it also impacted India. So quite recently, in June, on 23rd, 29th of June 2020, Business Insider is one of the renowned business magazine in India. They conducted one study, and they studied different graduates in India, and this is how they came up with their report. And I'm also giving you. Sonal, any issue at your end, so that if you
Yeah, I
want,
just wanted to ask that is this the problem with someone else also, that I am automatically getting out of the meeting, and then automatically I'm getting joined. So this kind of issue, that's why my screen gets dropped again and again.
okay, no problem. Sadman,
Sorry for
yeah,
the problem, but I don't think anyone else is having that issue.
Okay. What we can do is, Santosh sir also, can you give me one more minute? I'll just drop and join again for the meeting.
okay, No problem. I hope it's okay with everyone.
Yeah, we
Just
can wait. It's
give a
completely
1 minute.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can wait.
I'll just drop and check in again.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just continue with that talk. Of course, we're going to go through that. So I'm just give you the gist of what was there in that. It mentioned that graduates in India who are just passing out, who are just passing out. What happens with them is, previously up till 2019, they were like a good so-called rate of employment, but post-corona, to be very honest, more than 60 to 70%, to be very honest, more than two-third of graduates are not getting job. The rest of one third who really got a job, the two things happened with them. Their joining got delayed by the companies, or it got completely revoked by the companies. So there are not more than 5% of graduates right now who really got a placement from the campuses. And I'm not talking about other institutions. I'm talking about premier institutions as well. So this is happening right now this particular year. Maybe till last year, the situation was around 50% students getting jobs, and rest of 50% used to struggle. But today perhaps it's really difficult thing in India, and I think this is applicable to graduates around in India and the rest there. So I guess that was the Business Insider's take on this. And when you're just talking about corona and ill effect of corona, recently Dr. Pranav Sen, who was the ex so-called statistician and economist of India, he just came up with the numbers. I'm not sure whether you heard about this or not, but Indian economy somehow got contracted in negative numbers, and he mentioned that although those negative numbers are there, but the actual numbers will be a bit different than that, perhaps a bit low than that too. So I guess that could be one of the reason why it is really impacting the job market in India. That is what he mentioned. Dr. 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐭, who is from the University of, I mean, it's a Cornell. He's from Cornell University in US. He also mentioned the same thing, that we have to take a good steps to ensure how we can take the things ahead. And one of the important paramount aspect of this negativism into the economy, it is directly going to impact the employment in India. So I guess this is one of the thing. And of course, I'm very much sure every government across the world is trying their level best to bring the things out of all these so-called abysmals, or out of all these black holes. So I'm very much sure in a year or two, Indian government will also come out of this particular situation. But having said that, even though we'll just beat corona, the whole world, even though we'll beat corona, beating unemployment is a bit difficult, especially in our region, our kind of region, South Asia, because supply side, there is no control slanted towards supply side. The control is with a demand side. So I guess this is the example of India which I talked about. I'm sure Sonal will come back in a minute or so, and then I'd like to come up with whatever I have just gone through or heard or read from my friends, and of course through the newspapers in Bangladesh. So I'm going to talk on that, and then I'll come to the next point. So let's wait for a minute or so, and then I think we'll restart. So we'll just hold for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's fine.
Perfect. I'll just read it out for you. Like the thing which I told you people. According to survey by job search platform, and this is what the study of Business Insider. Um, right. So almost two-thirds of the freshers graduating this year are jobless at moment as a campus hiring take a hit. Nearly 44% of graduates who have a job offer said that their companies have deferred the joining dates, while the rest have their employment offers revoked. So I'm just going to read this couple of paragraphs. Let's go to the next slide, Sonal. Right. I was just talking about the great Pranav Singh ji. The person in a white beard is Mr. Pranav Singh. He was an ex-statistician and ex-economist, ex-chief statistician and economics in government of India. So he talked about that. Let's go to the next slide. Well, I talked about Dr. 𝐒𝐿𝐴𝐵𝑠𝑢 as well, who is in New York, who's studying, or sorry, teaching in University of, I mean, Cornell University. So he also talked on the same front. And let's go to the next slide. So I was just talking about this is how it is impacting and hampering, employment base in graduates and young professionals in India. So let me give a couple of examples, if you allow me to give that example from Bangladesh. So with few examples, I think then we'll proceed. Sonal, next slide. Perfect. So Daily Star, this is the details of October 11th, 2019, almost a year back. 1 in 3 graduates are unemployed. This is what they just mentioned. So I'm just going to read a few things over here. Graduates struggle to find jobs with more than a third of them remaining unemployed 1 or 2 years after graduation. This is what they mentioned. Said the World Bank, and this is about Bangladesh. This indicates some major skill gaps. That's what they mentioned, and they came up with the study Bangladesh Development Update October 2019, tertiary education and job skills. Only 19% of college graduates are employed full time or part time, while nearly half are unemployed. So this is not pointing out what is happening in Bangladesh. I think the similar situation is in India as well. And now we have to show the solution to this particular situation, because when we are going to show the solution to this, that is going to create the foundation of our economies taking the next leap. And for that sake, this is our responsibility. Every one of us from India who are young, every one of you who are from Bangladesh and young, country is in our hand, and we have to give a solution to this so-called decades long problem, and we have to come up with that. So I think that's the first, next slide. Let's go to the next slide. Interestingly, in this particular report, they also came up with some sort of problems which they have seen, and they are just expecting the solutions on that. So employees in Bangladesh are seeking higher order cognitive skills and soft skills. That's what they mentioned. They rank. This is very important. They rank 3 higher order cognitive and soft skills as most relevant for current work environment. First and the foremost, the most important, problem solving. And our today's session is more or less on that particular front. Lean Six Sigma is so far world's best problem solving methodology, because it's a scientific way to solve the problem. So that is problem solving. Second is independent thinking, work attitude, and positive personality. These are the things. And of course, they talked about problem solving. That is why I just mentioned it over here. However, employers struggle to find graduates with this skill. This is what they mentioned. Let's go to the next slide. I'm sure this might not be the case in many of you, right? I'm not saying that this could be the case of you, but whenever we're looking the whole picture, then perhaps these are the key areas and problem solving which we talked about. So that's where we would like to focus. So to achieve its growth vision, Bangladesh will need a high productivity economy. That is also one of the important things. If you really want to take economy to the next level, or GDP to the next level, we have to have higher productivity rates. And that is why even the McKinsey and company cautioned Japan as well, or US. They are getting older in the economies, right? So they have to improve their productivity to ensure they sustain with their growth. Right. So I guess we talk about this. So let me go to the next slide. Yes, productivity. I was just talking about productivity. Lean Six Sigma, the basic foundation and the focus of Lean Six Sigma is more or less not only on quality, on business excellence, but helping many global companies to enhance their productivity as well, and which is ultimately help to enhance the economy. So I guess that is also one of the context to put all these things in front of you. So that is not only one newspaper or one article. This is second article which is from a Financial Express from Bangladesh. Highly qualified but unemployed, right? So I'm not going to read on that. So the bottom line is this is happening around, and this is kind of a pan so-called South Asia problem. And as I told you, the reason is the supply side is growing exponentially, if I may use this word, but demand side is not growing that well, and that is where this imbalance, so-called inequilibrium, comes into the picture. And we got to somewhere find out are there any solutions where supply side is less and demand is high? I think that's a kind of a anti, so-called, with demand side slanted the situations is needed. So we have to come up with other way around, where supply side is doing is less and demand is quite high, and that is how we can take the control back of a career. And I'm going to talk about that, which is lean six sigma, based on my own experience for last 18 years. As I told you that over last 18 years, in fact the 18 years back too, the situation was the same. Supply was less and demand was high. The proportion was different, but supply side was always dominating. And after 18 years, even today as well, a supply side is less in number and the demand side is huge. So the proportion is the same. To be very honest, supply side is dominating like anything heavily, raining quite heavily at our end. So maybe that could be there are few issues around. So let me quickly reshare the screen and continue. Right. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So let's go to the next slide. Now, is it important to specialize in Lean Six Sigma? That's the question. So let me go ahead and give a few examples. As I told you that I need to give you a few examples on that front. So Indeed.com salary survey. Indeed.com, as we all know, it's a globally renowned recruitment firm, and they came up with their salary survey. Six Sigma certified individuals usually fall into the $100,000 plus pay brackets and are amongst the highest paid professionals globally. The average salary for Six Sigma Black Belt ranges from approximately $70,727 per year for business consultant. That's entry level individuals, to $129,996 dollars per year for director of the quality level. That's what it ranges from. And the information which they mention is salary information comes from 93,588 data points collected directly from employees, users, and past and present job advertisements on Indeed.com in past 36 months. That's last 3 years. Indeed.com is renowned global recruitment firm, and they came up with this particular survey. So let me go one step ahead and tell you about my own experiences and examples, what I have seen across, in one lifetime, every Lean Six Sigma expert generate monetary benefits from more than rupees 200 crores for, that's in rupees, Indian rupees, takas, of course, 1.2 to 200 crores, right? For companies where they are working. In return, every Lean Six Sigma experts makes wealth worth more than rupees 10 to 15 crores. In takas, it could be around 20 crores takas for themselves. And this is what I have seen in my own life as well. The people whom I got associated, to be very honest. So this is what the power of Lean Six Sigma, which somehow also got validated by the survey of Indeed.com too. And that is why it is important. Unfortunately, we get to know about this after our 30s. Once we reach to our 30s, and by the time, since we might be having a families to raise our children, and then buying the house and all those things, and even though we know it by then, we hardly could do anything at that particular time because our hands are quite tied up with other responsibilities. Whereas in US, they ensure that their students and graduates learn it into their graduation time only, and I'm going to give you the examples of that too very soon. So the question is, why these people are earning so much of, why these people are making wealth so much, why these people are needed so much? Because the basic rule is companies pay you heavily because they need you very much, right? And that's the reason why they're paying you heavily. The question is, why companies do need these experts quite intensively. Let's understand it through next slides. So why Lean Six Sigma experts are among the highest paid professionals globally? So I'm going to talk on that right now. So let's start with the business point of view, the angle of business. What is that particular business point of view over here, right? So as we all know, when there are more than one individual work, on more number of days, on more number of resources, or with more number of resources, on more number of task, there are always going to be some issues, right? So when there are more than one individual is working for more number of days, on more number of tasks, on more number of resources, there always going to be something, and that something is called inefficiency. Now, what is that inefficiency? When all these things are happening, there are always going to be gaps in the performances. There are always going to be defects in the performances. There are always going to be errors in the performances. There are always going to be variations in the performances, and this will lead to customer dissatisfaction, customer disloyalty, losing the customers, losing the profit, and ensuring piling up of losses or operating losses for the companies. So all these things will be part of one business concept called inefficiency. So let me come up with a layman's definition of inefficiency again. When there are more number of individuals are working on more number of tasks for more number of days, because we are working in an organization, we are not going to work for a 1 day or 2 day for a 1 month. We are going to work for the rest of our life, right? And there's not going to be only one individual or two individuals. There are going to be a bunch of individuals going to work over there, right? So when there are more number of people are working for more number of days and more number of tasks, there are always going to be variation in the performances, right? So that variation, that mistake, that errors, that defects, all these things will lead to operational losses for the organizations, and all these things will come under one umbrella called inefficiency. If you'll find some time to check it on a net right now, you'll find that the cost of inefficiency is around 20 to 30% of the total revenue. So if any company in Bangladesh is generating say 100 taka, out of which 20 to 30 taka goes haywire, goes wasted on inefficiency, and that's a huge thing. To be very honest, let me go one step ahead and tell you this 20 to 30%. What the numbers you will find on the internet, 20 to 30% out of 100% of your total revenue, these numbers are coming from a Western world, coming from US, coming from Europe, coming from even Japan, which are the developed nations. And I'm very sure by you are engineers around, right? You will understand that that relation, directly proportional or inversely proportional relation. So let me come up with one more thing, or let me extend by telling you one more thing over here. The skilled resources, SKILLED, skilled resources. When in any company there are more number of skilled resources are working, the rate of error, the rate of mistake, the rate of defects is going to be less. When you're having more number of skilled resources, the rate of errors will be quite less. So there will be inverse proportion in between skilled resources, rate of skilled resources, and to that of rate of defects in organization. So more number of skilled resources you are having, you're possessing in your organization, lesser will be the errors, lesser will be the defects, right? And vice versa. So when we're talking about global numbers of 20 to 30% of the total revenue goes vested on cost of inefficiency, that too for a Western world. What is a skilled resource rate in Western world? If I really ask this question, you can check it out across net. These numbers are available on our Indian government's website, and that is why I'm just putting with you these numbers. On an average, 50 to 60% skilled resources are there across globe. I mean, across developed nation. So rest of them are either partially skilled or unskilled. In the country like India, my own country, and again these numbers are available on the website of the government, right? The skilled resource rate is around 5%. That's very less. I don't know the numbers at Bangladesh, but I think you people can correct me on that number too. But I'm very much sure it could be close to the same numbers of what India's numbers. So it may replicate the same numbers of India, close to that particular number. So we do have 5 to 10% skilled resources, and rest of them are either unskilled or partially skilled. So my next question to you all is, if globally 50 to 60% is your skilled resource rate and global cost of inefficiency is around 20 to 30%, when in our region, when so-called skilled resource rate is below 10%, what would be the cost of inefficiency? It would be even more than 50 to 60%. So out of 100 takas, companies are earning in Bangladesh, for that matter, 100 rupees, Indian rupees companies are earning in our country, around 50 to 60 rupees goes haywire or wasted on inefficiency. And I have already defined the inefficiency for you all, right? That defects, that error, that variation, that gap, which lead to customer disloyalties, customer dissatisfaction, and then it will generate the losses. Imagine how can we fight a global so-called countries with so much of cost of inefficiency. Do company owners don't know about all these things? No, they all know that cost of inefficiency is there within every single plant, every single company, within every single sector, within every single industry, whether this is manufacturing industry, service industry, even the military industry. Anywhere you go, cost of inefficiency is there, because we are not robots, we are human. And when humans are working together for longer period of time, you're always going to find this. And unfortunately, this is also called a hidden factory. This is hidden within the system. And when I'm saying hidden factory, not necessarily this term belongs to manufacturing. This is applicable to in service sector as well, right? So you go anywhere, you go to the bank, you want to work for a banking sector, want to work for construction sector, want to work for insurance sector, want to work for education sector, want to work for manufacturing sector, want to work for government sector, everywhere human associated. And when human are going to work for long period of time, you'll always going to find all these inefficiencies, which are more than 50 to 60% at our kind of countries, or in our kind of countries. Globally it is 20 to 30%. Why? Because they already started working on this for last 100 years, and that is why from 40, 50, 60, 70% they reduced it to almost 20 to 30%. To compete these global countries around, we have to start working on this right now, provided we want to make a globally fastest growing economy to our countries. We have to work on this inefficiency. And when you work on inefficiency, it has direct relation with that of your productivity. So lesser the inefficiency, higher will be the productivity. You don't need any oracle to tell you this. You don't need any jyotish in our kind of a word we call it. Right, we don't need any astrologers to tell us that the productivity will be high when inefficiency is less. And companies knows this. Unfortunately, they don't have the resources who can work around on these things that easily, because this is hidden into my system. So I need someone, an expert, who can find it out, which the things which are hidden, the inefficiency which is hidden into my own organization, into my own processes across. I want someone who can find it out, who can measure it, who can reduce it, so that I can get benefited out of it. And I need these individuals. Unfortunately, these individuals are not available. And do you know who are these individuals? Lean Six Sigma professionals are these individuals, who work on reducing the inefficiency. And that is why the importance of these individuals are having across organizations. Honestly, it started with the manufacturing industry, to be very honest. However, in mid 90s, General Electricals, GE, I'm sure you must have heard about GE. It's a renowned global giant company. And they do have a different subsidiaries, more than 100 subsidiaries, and one of the subsidiary of GE is GE Capital, which is into service sector, which is into banking sector, financial institution. GE not only implemented Lean Six Sigma into its manufacturing plants, but they also implemented it into their GE Capital, into the service sectors as well, service sector based subsidiaries as well, in way back in mid 90s. And they realized this is applicable to service sector. The whole world started looking towards the result which GE achieved in 96, 97. I'm very sure not many of you born by that time, and I was also quite young at that particular time. But for the first time, world realized all these business efficiency, business excellence related techniques and technology, we can use it in service sector. Prior to that, it was a myth that this is applicable only only in a manufacturing sector. No, this is not applicable in only in a manufacturing sector. I'm giving my own example. Over last 18 years, for not more than 1 to 2 years, I got associated with manufacturing sector. I got associated with a media giant, a banking sector, IT sector, manufacturing sector, retail sector, and quite recently we also got associated with the government sectors, right? So across everywhere it is applicable, and the supply is relatively less, and people need to reduce the inefficiency because it do directly relate with my productivity, it directly associated with my competitiveness, global competitiveness, it's directly associated with my businesses, and I need these individuals, but I'm not able to find these individuals. And that is why Lean Six Sigma experts are among the highest paid professionals globally, because this is not a problem of our region, South Asia. This is a problem pan globe. Inefficiency is everywhere, human work everywhere, right? As long as your automation, your robotics and robots will replace human 100%, you will find Lean Six Sigma importance will be intact till that moment. And I'm very much sure it will take next 100, minimum 100 years, where automation and so-called your robots will completely replace human being. I'm very much sure even that is not going to happen over the next 100 years. It will take even more than 100 years. So that is the business point of view. That is why these people are in less supply and high demand. I give you the number of India. I'm a master black belt, in the country of 137 crore people in India, there are not more than 1,000 master black belts. In the country of 137 crore people, there are not more than 50,000 black belts. When the need of black belts is more than 5 lakh, when the need of master black belt is more than 1 lakh, there are very less number of individuals available, and that is why the plenty of opportunities are around for these people. Because they can get directly associated, they can work for 4 hours, 5 years, they can work full time. They can take an assignment, they can go global, they can work global. By the way, globally, they can work globally. Most of my friends, more than 90% of my friends, my colleagues, my so-called juniors right now are working either in Dubai or in Australia or in Singapore, and very few right now working in India, because after 5 to 8 years of experience they prefer to go out of India, because they are generating money like anything over there, to be very honest. In India, average salary of this so-called black belt, there are 3 levels. Green belt is the first level, then next level, after a couple of years you'll be eligible for black belt, then after 3 to 4 years you'll be eligible for master black belt. So salary of green belt in India is around 10 lakhs, which is around 12 lakh takas per year, in Bangladesh currency. The average salary, I'm talking about average salary, so there are people who are earning even more than that too, and even less than that too. So average salary of black belt is around 20 lakhs rupees, that is around 24 lakh takas in Bangladesh currency for black belt. And average salary of master black belt in India is around 35 lakh rupees, which is around 45 to 50 lakhs Bangladeshi takas. That's what an average salary, but that too in our region. But if people will prefer to go to Dubai, Australia, Singapore, they will get salary almost double the salary than what they're drawing in India. And that's why people prefer to go globally, because globally these individuals are needed. So that's a business point of view. That is why these people are needed. Now, second is scientific mode of problem solving. I'm very much sure you all know Y is a function of X. So if you really want to improve the performance or change the performance of Y, we need to find out the X's associated with Y, and we need to work on that. So, previously, when how people used to solve the problem. If you ask this question in past, people used to solve the problem, based on artistic way. Artistic way means based on experiences. So our forefathers, they used to get an experience, and based on experience, they used to solve the problem. Then come the generation where people used to use the quantitative methodology. By being engineers, I'm very much sure you must have heard about game theories and other quantitative optimization methodologies. Those are the quantitative way to solve the problem. A third equally important way to solve the problem is a predictive way to solve the problem, right? So when you're having Y as a problem, and why it is so, every single company is heading towards future, and nobody among us knows the future. How many of us knew 1 year back at the same time, on today's what, 19th of October, 19th of October 2020, on 19th of October 2019, how many of us knew about Corona? Not a single person out of more than 7 billion people living on this planet knew about Corona. Not even Chinese people knew about this, right? By then. Today, more than 7 billion people living on this planet know about Corona. Here and there we got information up to 1 year, right? So nobody knew the future. Nobody knows the future. We still need to, strive towards the future, and that's what we are doing. We keep on walking towards the future, and since we don't know the future, we're always going to face the problem. Few of them do call it quite optimistically. It's a challenge. It's not a problem. So problem, challenge, issues, all those are there, going to be there because we don't know the future, and we've got to keep on solving it. From the evolution of Homo sapiens sapiens, we human being is a Homo sapiens sapiens, right? So from the evolution time, we were kept on solving the problem, quite frequently, to be very honest, and that has not changed, and that will not change at all. That will keep on happening because nobody will be able to know the future, right? So we need to keep on heading towards future by facing all this problem and solving all this problem. So one way is artistic way, another way is quantitative way, third way is a predictive way. What if we'll be able to understand if yes, y is a function of x, I need to reduce the impact of x. If I want to reduce the impact of y, I completely understand that. However, if I'm having a list of 100 different x's to work around, what are those most significant x's to work around? I don't know whether this is a culture in Bangladesh or not, but this was a culture at our time when we used to have exams. We used to take the book with us, and we used to book with us, and we used to find out the most important topics, and we used to study those important topics. So we used to have 3 stars and all those. Okay, this is the VVIMP, this is the VIMP, this is the important topics and all those. We used to do it at our time. I'm very much sure many of you must be doing it at your, in today as well. So that's about finding the most significant things, right? So if I'm having exam tomorrow, and if I'm having a book in front of me, I cannot read the whole book. I cannot do that. I need to find out the most significant, impactful essays, most significant, impactful topics, so that will help me to pass exceedingly well, right? That's what we do. And the one who can predict the most important topics better than others will be the topper, to be very honest. He or she is a topper because he or she can gauge it much better way than others, right? So again, that's solving the problem by understanding, solving the problem of passing the exam exceedingly well, by working on important topics. The same thing applies with the companies. Companies says, I don't have a resource who can work on all these 100 different causes or 50 different causes. Can you come up with the most important causes, 4 or 5 most important causes, so that we will work on those, and that will have a maximum impact on why. Lean Six Sigma is built on these 2 pillars. Pillar number 1, it will help us to find out most significant causes which do have an impact on our problems. That is the one thing. So when I'm saying most significant causes, there always the risk associated with this. How much the risk associated with this X, if I will work on this X, and this will have an impact on a Y. What is that probability, right? Lean Six Sigma help us understand that probability, and that is why it is a scientific way to solve it. It is based on statistical premise, and no other problem solving methodology is based on statistical premise. That is a one thing. A second pillar is, it's not only help us find out statistically significant causes having a maximum significant impact on a y, that is my problem. It is also Lean Six Sigma do have another pillar called predictions of that particular problem. It helps to predict when that problem may reoccur, so that I'll be prepared for this. So imagine if you're having the ability to predict the problem, which is a normal case scenario you don't possess, and at the same time, even though that problem reoccur, I do have a way to solve it by working on most significant X's. Imagine if you're having this ability. This is a power, and very few people on this planet do have this particular power. and that is why these people paid quite heavily globally. That is another thing. And if you don't want to trust me, let me take you to the next slide where you will be able to understand what is happening. So I guess this is uh, the gentleman, this is available on YouTube, a fireside chat with Jeff Bezos. So the person on extreme right is Shah Rukh Khan. I'm sure you must have heard about Shah Rukh Khan. We all love Shah Rukh Khan here. And the lady who's sitting in middle is Zoya Akhtar. There was one movie in India called Gully Boys, and she's quite renowned director. And both of them conducted an interview of the person who is sitting in that white, so-called coat, and his name is Jeff Bezos. And I'm very much sure we all know Jeff Bezos. He is the chairman and CEO of Amazon, and he is the richest person on this planet with more than $216 billion of wealth he has generated, and that too over last 20-25 years. So that's about Jeff Bezos. In this particular interview, Shah Rukh asked him one question. At 11th minute, Shah Rukh asked him one question: "What is the secret of your operational success?" And Jeff Bezos smiled. And I really want you to watch that video. And please do watch that patch in between 11 minutes and 12 minutes and 30 seconds, in that 1.5 minutes patch. And he smiled, and Jeff started answering that question. He said that previously when we were a small company, we used to get customer feedbacks, in boxes. So we used to get customer feedback from various regions, various locations, stations. We used to get it, we used to collect it together, and we used to get it in a boxes. And then I used to take that box to my office, and I used to call my colleagues, and we used to have a round table, and every single feedback, every single customer complaint we used to read out, and we try to solve that particular problem. By then, today we do have a pan globe presence, right? So it's not that easy that taking it all the so-called feedbacks and complaint into box and having a discussion. So he said, even though today what we're doing is we're trying to find out the patterns of the problems of complaints and feedback are nothing but for the problems, right? People are facing the problem, that's what they're complaining. People are facing a problem, that's what they're coming with the feedback. So he said that we do understand, we do understand the patterns of the problems. That's the first thing we do. Then we find out where that particular problem lies within our system, within our process. Next, we go ahead and do the scientific root cause analysis. We try to find out the most significant root causes behind it. Then we fix it over there. And once we fix it, we build a system so that the same problem will not reoccur, or even though it will reoccur, it will not reoccur frequently, and not only for a given station or given location across globe. This is what he mentioned. And finally, he said, this is the secret of our operational success. So the bottom line is what he talked about. Number one thing, he talked about understanding the patterns of the problems, patterns and trends of the problem. Second, finding out, locating where that particular problem is lying into the system. Third, root causal analysis, doing the root causal analysis. Fourth, fixing it. And fifth, not only fixing it for that location, but fixing it across globe. All these things will come under one particular fraternity, and that fraternity is called operational excellence. And who are the experts from this particular fraternity? No need to guess, those are the Lean Six Sigma experts associated. So if you just right now, if you really want to put Amazon plus Lean Six Sigma jobs, you will find Amazon do have a separate division that is called ACES. A stand for America, Amazon. A stand for Amazon. C stand for customer. E stand for experience, and final A stand for services. So ACES is a separate division of Amazon across globe where Lean Six Sigma experts work to solve customer problem on a continuous basis. Many of my colleagues, many of my juniors and seniors even are working across globe with Amazon with a much better salary, to be very honest, because this is the crux, this is the core of Amazon's success. If Amazon want to continue to be $1 trillion plus company, they have to focus on this aspect of their supply chain, definitely important thing, but this customer experience, because everything boils down to this aspect. And who are his commanders, who work on this aspect? Those are Lean Six Sigma Sigma experts. And this is not only applicable with Amazon. You take any company, to be very honest, global top 25,000 companies do use all these expertise. You name the company, they do have the division. Maybe names will be different, maybe few of them do call it excellence, business excellence, few of them call process excellence, operational excellence, and business optimization, profit maximization, or customer experience divisions. They do have these kind of divisions, and people who are working in those divisions are get paid quite heavily because they are working on inefficiency angle. So that's about what Mr. Jeff Bezos talked about. Please do watch that particular video on Amazon, and I'm very sure you'll like that video. Next is the Quora. We all know the Quora. So is Six Sigma certification worth it in India? That was the one question came, and that's not really applicable to India. It's applicable everywhere. So I'd like to read what Mr. 𝐶𝐴 has mentioned into his answer. He's quite a renowned, Lean Six Sigma specialist. More than 16 years of experience. He himself is a Lean Six Sigma green belt, then black belt, then master black belt. More than 175 plus projects he deployed. As I told you, Lean Six Sigma is a projectized approach and framework. Within the next 10-15 minutes, we're going to go through the framework as well. So it's a projectized approach, and he has deployed more than 175 projects. And most important aspect is he has helped save companies more than $21 million. So $21 million, if I'm not wrong, $1 million is close to say 10 CR takas in Bangladesh terms, right? So if it is 10 CRs, so imagine 21 million, it's close to 200 plus crores of takas he has helped his companies to save, and interestingly in less than 20 years of time. That is the benefit Lean Six Sigma brought to the professionals. As and when you keep on growing, the experiences you will be there, So let me go ahead and read out few things what he mentioned. Lean Six Sigma, is Six Sigma certification worth it in India? Absolutely worthy. I'm going to read it over there for you. In fact, this question is irrelevant. The only caution is mere certification has no value. But if you are certified and also able to make use of it and drive high impact $1 million savings projects, then the sky is not the limit for Six Sigma. During our Corona period, the new culture, to be very honest, new normal came to India. We do have different so-called online platforms, to provide the certifications, and many students prefer to do the certification. And I kept on telling them, mere certification has no value. When you're putting something on your CV, companies are going to ask you about that, and if you'll not be in a position to answer the question satisfactorily, companies will throw your CV into dustbin. Again, the reason for that is supply is huge, demand is less. So if you really want to differentiate yourself, you have to have those skill sets. Mere certification will not add a value. That's what he mentioned. High impact $1 million saving project you want to deliver the way he did it over last 16 years. For that matter, in my case, if you check out my own profile on LinkedIn, you will find more than $20 million savings are already there. So honestly, this is how these people get benefited. So when you are saving more than $20 million, you can imagine how much the salary would be of these individuals. You don't need any astrologer to tell you how much would be the salary. So let me go to the next slide. Yes, I'm not going to read the first paragraph again. Good Six Sigma black belts are in great demand in India, and demand continue to be there for next 5 decades or so. Let me jump to the very last statement. Good Six Sigma black belts are highly paid, and in many companies they figure out into top 5 to 10% of pay brackets. And that is what even Indeed.com, the global recruitment firm, renowned recruitment firm, has also validated. These people are standing in 5 to 10% of pay bracket. Let me give my own example. So when I left my last organization as business excellence head, which is equivalent to vice presidential position, the X amount I was drawing, the equal person from the operations or from the marketing division, they were drawing almost half of my salary. I was drawing almost double of their salaries. So you can imagine what these individuals are drawing and how much these individuals are important across the globe. So let me go ahead. Yes, now I'm going to give you a few examples of global universities. When I studied in US, way back in 2004-5, by the time, as I told you, my university is one of the renowned global top 10, top 15 university. But even by then, and even our departments, engineering department and statistics department and management department are in top 12, rather top 15 by then, to be very honest. Even then, our so-called premier university never used to have these graduate certificates at that particular time. In 2004, 5 around. My own experience. But today, if you go to the websites of top 100 universities globally, they do provide this certification to the graduates and postgraduates. My simple question to you all is, why in US universities, top 100 universities follows this? Why they think that this is valuable to the graduates and postgraduate students? Of course, they don't use the word postgraduate, they call it undergraduate and graduates. Why are they coming up with this? Why they think so? Because they realize this is something which can fill the gap in between what industries are expecting and what students are having or possessing. This is a valuable thing. Right now, I'm just going to give you the evidences of that. Few of the websites you can check it on a internet. You can go through the websites of those universities and you will find these certification courses are provided. Graduate certifications are provided by them, and to be very honest, all these print screens are quite recent one. In few of the print screens you will find the word corona as well, so you can imagine it's quite recent of this particular semester. Georgia Tech, one of the renowned, people do call it. It's a Makkah, to be very honest, for engineering graduates. So Georgia Tech University. Next is your University of Buffalo. Then let me go through the next slides. I'm just going through this. I'm going to navigate through very quickly. University of Washington. These are few examples I'm showing you. Georgia State University, then your Ohio State University. See, let me go back. Ohio State University. Then your Duke University. It's also quite renowned. Then your University of Petersburg, quite renowned in Pennsylvania. Then your Purdue University. It's also quite renowned. Then you have Northeastern University, it's based out of Boston. Then you are Arizona State University, that's also quite renowned university. So all these universities, and of course Cornell Engineering, I talked about Cornell previously as well, in the context of Dr. 𝐾𝐲, it's also a renowned university. So engineering institutions, the management institutions from top 100 universities are providing this. I have a simple question: why not institutions from our end do help our to get equipped with all these things? We have to do this, otherwise we'll stay behind the whole world. We have to be a part of that momentum, otherwise they will go ahead. There will be huge gap in between developed nations and underdeveloped or developing nations like us. The way it was 50 years back, 100 years back, it will still persist for next 100 years. We have to take a right opportunity. We have to take a right decision at the right time, and this is our right time. We have to provide these specializations to our students. That's this really paramount aspect. So let me go to the next slide. I'm sure you might have heard about machine learning and versus Lean Six Sigma in many institutions around. The students do ask the question, shall we go for a machine learning? Shall we go for Lean Six Sigma? What should we do? And my answer to them used to be, you have to, it's better to learn machine learning, no doubt about that. That's a future thing, but you got to club it with the Lean Six Sigma. And now, why is that so? I'm going to talk on that. But before we just go ahead, this is a corporate rule. This is an ugly truth, which we all know. At the end of the day, what matters for any company the most is how much value you are bringing to the company in the form of money. Because company is not motivating you with the words for your best performance. Companies pay you the salary. When companies pay you the salary, they expect you to reciprocate with the same thing. You have to generate money for the organizations, right? So you are as good as monetary benefits you are generating for the companies, not your experience, not your loyalties, not your skills or your honesty. All that matters is the money you're generating for the companies. Now, if this is the corporate rule, you may understand it right now, or you'll understand it down the line 10 years. You will be more wise to understand it down the line 10 years, or prudent to understand it down the line 10 years. But do understand it. This is the corporate rule, and it has not changed over last 200 years, and it will not change for next 200 years too. You are as good as money you're generating for your companies, period. So if that is so, the choice is yours. If you want to be a specialist who handles coding languages that crunch data for MNC firms, or you want to be a specialist. Now, this is a very important statement. A specialist of the specialist who generate multi-million dollars worth monetary profits for MNC firms. Now, what Lean Six Sigma people do, specialists do by reducing inefficiency is they generate multi-million dollars worth monetary benefits for MNCs they are working. And I'm sure wise people like you will understand how much it is important for the organizations. Companies will definitely not only hire, they look for you, they will hire you, and they will give you promotions and growth, everything you ask for, provided you will help companies generate multi-million dollars. And Lean Six Sigma is the field, is the fraternity which will help you become the specialist of generating multi-million dollars worth monetary benefit. This is your time. I'm sure you must be in the age of 20 to 25. This is the right time. You got to start as early as you could. One of my colleague, she's here right now. Her nephew, who is right now 17 years old, he did his Lean Six Sigma green belt. You can imagine in couple of years time, by the time he reached to 20, he'll be a black belt, and by 25, he'll be master black belt. Will be needed across globe. Even a black belt and GB is also needed. So he's starting it quite early at the age of 17, and he's always going to have that particular advantage. As simple as that, right? So that is why this is important. Maybe machine learning will give you job at the bottom level, but if you really want to grow within an organization, you have to have a skill to generate multi-million dollars benefit to the organization. Lean Six Sigma provides you that particular expertise. That's about the Lean Six Sigma thing, and this is perhaps the final slide from my end as far as phase one is concerned. Lean Six Sigma, an ideal career path for graduate at early age. Imagine there are two individuals, A and B, right now, attending this particular session, and they're to the age of 2020, around 2021. One of them will be quite stubborn and will not accept what I'm saying right now. So both of them are quite talented people, right? So one of them will join a manufacturing or IT or BPO bank, or for that matter government organization, and he'll start working at L1 level. That's a basic base level, L1 or L2. He'll start working at L1 level, and he'll move up the ladder to L2 level. Brilliant guy, no doubt about that. After 25 to 28, in that particular range, he'll generate more experience, and he'll just move up the ladder and get through the L3 level or team leader or supervisor level by 28. By 32 to 40, he'll get into the, when he'll perform well, he'll become assistant manager or manager, or if he's that lucky, he'll become senior manager, by the time he'll reach to the 40. Now, our quest, Lean Six Sigma program, when people will do Lean Six Sigma program, and we are not saying you do it only from us, you can do it from anywhere, to be very honest. So be individual who will understand what I'm saying. He said, yeah, I think, this is needed, because even global institutions are also following, global entrepreneurs and rich people on this planet are following this. I have to learn this ability to generate multi-million dollars profit to my companies. So he'll do green belt. He will do 7 to 8 Lean Six Sigma green belts worth $25,000 to $50,000 over next 3 to 4 years. He'll also start at L1 level with individual A, but he will move up the ladder because he started saving the money, or he started showing the money to the companies, in the form of monetary benefits. So he'll move up the ladder from L1, L2, L3 to team lead. So by the time he reached to 25, he jumped to the position of team leader. Then he'll do black belt, with 7 to 8 different projects, green belt projects. And next level is Lean Six Sigma black belt. He will do the black belt. Again he will deploy 7 to 8 black belt projects over next 2 to 3 years, with an annual benefit of $1 million to $5 million, because in that particular range those benefits stands. And then since he has shown that monetary benefit, he get an opportunity to get promoted, and you don't need me to tell you why companies promote people, right? So they promote because they are very valuable individuals, and value comes through the money. So this individual B will become manager and senior manager by the time he reached to the age of 28. Now he is an experienced black belt. He will go ahead one level up and he'll do master black belt, where he'll not handle 1 or 2 projects of black belt, but he'll handle the whole program of business excellence, which is worth more than $5 to $10 million for the companies. Of course, he'll have his team, below him to deploy the things across organizations, and that is how he'll work as a master black belt, and he move up the ladder to AVP or vice president level before he reached 40. In India, average age of assistant vice president of from the fraternity of business excellence is 34 to 35, and vice president is 37 to 38. And all these people started their career by the time of they reached to 25 to 26. Even I give my own example. I got to know about Lean Six Sigma when I was a part of that media giant group in India, and my boss did it, and he told me, Santosh, this will help you to enhance your salary, double or triple, to be very honest. And that really made me to do it. I was 26 years old by the time, and I left as a business excellence head, vice president level, when I was 36 years old. In 10 years time, I moved up the ladder like anything. So that this is the average age. Imagine if you started by 2022, by your 30s you will be a master black belt, and by 32 you will be a vice president of the organization. I'm very much sure you'll also want to achieve something like this, because then the whole world is open for you. Honestly, people after 10-15 years, they don't prefer to work, I'm talking about India, they don't prefer to work in India, they prefer to go global. Today, half of our revenues are coming from the operational excellence softwares, which we are catering to Dubai-based client, and for that matter, Singapore-based client, and for that matter, Europe-based client. So we are already a global company, to be very honest, because yes, we do have a business in India, but then who is stopping us to go global? Honestly, nobody is stopping us. So people do prefer to go global with more than 10 years of experience, and that is going to happen with you, provided you start it. The key is you starting it as early as you can. I guess on that particular note, that's about the first phase, why this is important. I really want you to consider this as a career prospect for you. That's about phase one. Now let's understand the framework of Lean Six Sigma. So for that sake, I would like to hand it over to Sonal, who is one of my one of my business heads. So I'm just going to hand it over to you. Sonal, are you there? Hello.
Yes, I'm there.
So I just hand it over to her. She will take us through, navigate us through Lean Six Sigma projectized approach. What are different sequence based approach, sequence based phases or steps of Lean Six Sigma. So she'll just take us through for next 15-20 minutes, and then finally I'll take 10-15 minutes to brief about Inside Fellowship program, and of course there onward we'll be open to for a question answer session. So Sonal, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Santosh sir.
6 o'clock, so you have 20-25 minutes. Please finish it up in 20-25 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Yes, hello everyone, and now we'll be going through the Lean Six Sigma framework. We've been listening about the importance, we've been listening about its significance as a career growth, but let us understand what exactly the concept is. So, what you can see on a screen is DMAC, a word called DMAC. So, Lean Six Sigma is a methodology that is followed step by step in a patterns of phases. So when these phases are expanded, it is defined. It is termed as define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So when we put them in a short form, that is called as the DMAC, and DMAC is nothing but the methodology of Lean Six Sigma. Let's move to the next slide and get started with the concept. Yes. So, history and quality of Lean Six Sigma. So, Lean Six Sigma is a methodology that has been, what we can say, started from the concept called as quality, or it is very closely associated with the thing called quality. So it started with these two amazing personalities, W.E. Deming and Joseph Juran. So these people, these two very important people, took the quality control concept to Japan in early 1950s. So what they did is they implemented these quality concepts, from where the concepts were refined once they were implemented through their application in several industries. So what happened is the quality concept emerged widely around Japan, and from there Motorola in mid 1980s took up the concept and they brought in the term called as Lean Six Sigma, where Motorola implemented the methodologies of Lean Six Sigma in their processes and emerged as one of the leading production TV production manufacturers who were successful in deploying the defect free or a product with low defects. So Lean Six Sigma started from Motorola over there, and then when Motorola won a very prestigious award, which is called as Malcolm Partridge Award for its performance, their success was wide open in front of the world, and the world wanted to know what exactly Motorola did so that they have emerged so strongly while delivering the products, and thus the world came to know about the Lean Six Sigma thing. So Six Sigma then was taken from Motorola by GE in mid 1990s, where GE made a corporate commitment to apply the Lean Six Sigma methods in their processes. So now the twist is GE implemented the Lean Six Sigma methodology, which was tried and tested in the manufacturing environment, in a non-manufacturing environment. Okay, so after implemented the Lean Six Sigma methodology in non-manufacturing environment, GE was successful in doing that, and hence a process excellence technique, a process excellence getaway was open to the world in the service sectors, and the Lean Six Sigma opened its gate for implementing in the service sector, and rest is the history. So let's move to the next slide quickly. So yes, these are the few examples of the companies that are implementing Lean Six Sigma in their processes. So since this is a slide and we cannot put all the industries that have implemented these concepts in their processes, so this is just a few examples, just a gist of the chunk of the companies that have implemented this, and amongst them are Coca-Cola, then we have Ford, then we have Sony. So these kind of industries are very well known to us as a manufacturing industries, but there are few of the industries on this slide, such as Bank of America, then JP Morgan and Chase, then IBM, then Allied Signal. So these are the companies that deal with the service sectors and are completely successful in running their processes by implementing the Lean Six Sigma methodology in their day-to-day operations. To name more few, there are few of the other companies in the IT sectors, such as the Infosys, then we have TCS, etc., which have their own division of Lean Six Sigma. Let's move to the next slide. So yes, we will get started with LSS DMAC. So before starting with LSS DMAC, we will understand what is Six Sigma. So Six Sigma has a symbol called sigma in its letter. So sigma is nothing but a Greek letter that is associated with the term variation that each and every one of us come across while studying. So variation is denoted by the sigma. So a company's performance is measured by the sigma level of their processes. This is what Lean Six Sigma talks about. So what exactly it does is It recognizes the problematic areas of the business, that where it is going wrong, define the projects to identify the solution to these problems using the proven methodology, then achieve financial benefit from the improvement, develop the metrics to monitor its overall rate of improvement, and change the operational culture. So this is what Lean Six Sigma talks basically about. So this is a very short introduction. Due to time constraints, it's a very big and vast concept. So let's get into the methodology of Lean Six Sigma, that is DMAP. So the first phase of Six Sigma is define, where define what is the problem. Okay, to get started on for improvement or to get started with any project, you need to know what exactly is the problem at the base level. So define talks about such problems. In measure phase, what we do is, once we know this is the area of problem, for example, the area of problem is customer satisfaction. So we know what the problem is: low customer satisfaction to my products. So now we will measure how low it is and how deep is the problem, because if it is such at such a lower level, how deep it is going to impact my business goals. Okay, so in measure phase, we find out how deep the problem is. Then we slowly move to the analyze phase. Okay, so analyze phase and measure phase, improve phase, control phase brings into the gist and its uniqueness of Lean Six Sigma methodology, that is statistical evidences to whatever it talks. Okay, so statistically we prove what is the reason, what how deep the problem is, and since they are statistically validated, it has a base to whatever you speak about. So in analyze phase, we find what are the causes that are resulting in this problem in my business goals. So we find what are the causes. After finding, we need to signify, we need to find out which cause has the maximum impact on the business goal and which has not. So that significance is brought in using the using the statistical methods, and that is what we do in the analyze phase. We signify that these particular cause has an impact on your why, that is your business goal. Moving on to the next phase, that is improve phase. So once we know what is the causes, we cannot just sit and think about these are the causes. We need to find out what is the solution. Okay, so now in improve phase, what we do is we find out, we brainstorm together to find what is the solution. After finding out what is the solution, you have to implement it in a smaller level. So here it is implemented into the pilot phase and tested statistically whether the improvement is actually happening or not. So in improve phase, we find what is the solution. Then we have the control phase. So any improvement is considered as actual improvement when it is sustained when in the long run. Okay, so in control phase, we see to it that the improvement that the solutions are bringing in, they are sustained in the process, they are sustained or maintained in coming time for the processes. So what we saw is, we saw the DMAP, where we understand what is the problem, how deep is the problem, what are the causes, what is the solution, and how to sustain the solutions. So in coming slides, we'll be seeing in deep about each of the phases. Let's move into the next slide. So yes, we'll start with the first phase, that is define phase. Next slide, please. Okay, so define phase, what basically includes is, it includes identifying the problem in an organization, like I talked in the previous slide. Then set a goal to reduce the problem, preparation of the project charter. Okay, so these are the sub steps or the sub levels that we do in the define phase. So identification of a problem in an organization is done, that is as I took the example of the CSAT, then we set a goal to reduce the problem. Okay, if we know that my customer satisfaction rate is just 3 star, I want it to have be 5 star, we have to set a goal to reduce that problem. That is, we have to set a goal to increase the customer satisfaction ratings to 4 at least to start with. So next is, to start with, you have set a goal to reach the customer satisfaction rating at 4, you need to prepare a project charter. That is nothing but a documentation, a kind of navigation panel that acts when you conduct the project in your company, which will be looking into few further slides as an example. So let's move to the next slide. Yes. So now we know what exactly we are supposed to do in the define phase, but we have few of the tools, we have few of the methods we have to follow while defining the problem. So tools that are used during the define phase are: first is voice of quality, voice of process, CTQ, which are in short called as VOC, VOP, CTQ, that is critical to quality metrics. So what is VOC? VOC is nothing but whenever you are using some services or product, if there is an issue, you call to the call center of the company, you call to the representative of the company, and then you tell what your problem is. XYZ product is not working. So as a customer, you are reporting it to the company, and the company takes a note of it. So for the company, your voice is nothing but a voice of customer, your complaint is nothing but a voice of customer. And in the company, when the representative takes the complaint forward to the people who are actually working on the process of manufacturing that product or working on the service providing area, so that becomes the voice of process. So from VOC we take it to VOP, from VOP we have to take it to the critical to quality metrics. So that they are the areas on which the company has to work in the process, so that as a customer you cannot complain back again on the same area. So that is nothing but a critical to quality metrics. Those are the tools that we use to identify and define the areas on which we need to work on. So next we have the project charter. As I said, it acts as a navigation panel or a detailed document that gives you a direction in which your project is supposed to travel in. If we go to the next slide, I can show you the project charter example. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yes. So this is a typical example of a project charter, how it looks and what are the components that we put into a project charter. So first component is the business case, which you can see a person is giving a scenario of a company base, whatever it is going on around, and what a client has to say about their services provided to them. Next we have the problem statement, where we define what exactly the problem is and the area on which we need to work. Okay, so here we have the problem statement. Next is the goal statement. Okay, so once you have defined the problem as given in the slide, as we have to improve its tat, reaching the average tat, you need to set a goal also to reach at a certain level, so that the customer complaints do not come back or the client's necessities are met. So goal statement is that. Next we have the project scope. So whatever the projects of Six Sigma that you are implementing in a process, it is either applicable, it is only applicable to the process on which you are working on. It is not applicable to any other processes. So we have to mention it, that we are working on which process and on which processes this project is not going to have its impact on. So that is nothing but the project scope. We have QNS, that is the savings that a project is going to bring in for the company, or we can say the cost component, cost saving component that this project is going to bring in for the company, that is stated by the QNS. And then the team member and the project timelines, because to carry on a Six Sigma, it is a collective effort putting projects. So we have to define the team members, those who are going to be there in the project. Next we have the project timeline. It is time bound. Six Sigma projects are supposed to be completed in a particular time frame. So project timeline is decides which phase is to be completed at what time. This is example of the project charter. Let's move to the next slide. So yes, we saw the project charter thing. Next we have SIPOC. Okay, so SIPOC is nothing but a high level process map. So process map is nothing but the step by step details of a particular thing that is to be completed in a particular direction. So SIPOC is a high level process or a high level area in which we come to know about a process in 4 to 5 steps, but a very important aspect is known from there, that is supplier input, output and customer. So for a process, who are the supplier, which is the input, and then the process is done, and what is the output of this process, and who is the customer is defined in the SIPO. Next slide. Next, we have the process flowchart. We'll take an example of that also. Next slide. So yes, as you can see on a screen, you can see a typical process map. Okay, a typical navigating something as some things that's denoted by arrows, some things that's denoted by few boxes, and the kite-shaped articles. Okay, so this is the process map that gives you a much higher detail about the process as compared to the SIPOC. So if a SIPOC is 5 to 10 steps, then process map may be a example or a process map of 15 to 20 steps. Okay, so that's the process map from where we identify what is the value added thing and what is a non value added thing in a particular process, and we work on reducing the non value added things. Next slide, please. Measure phase. Next slide. So quickly we'll be moving on to the second phase of Six Sigma, that includes a measure phase. So measure phase talks about defining the performance standards. It contains the technical definitions like unit. We have upper specification limits, lower specification limits to provide the measure to proceed in the measure phase. So what are upper specification, lower specification limits? These are the boundaries in which the process is supposed to be performed as per the client expectations. The next we have measurement system analysis. So it is used to identify the variation that exists within the measurement or process system. For example, a work is given to 4 different people, then we see how these 4 different people are working, and if the problem persists there also, and if a person alone is working on the same thing 4 times, does the same thing arise again? So that is something helps to gauge whether the problem is persisting as a repeatable or reproducible. Next slide. So tools that are used during the measure phase, like in define phase, in measure phase also we have few tools that we implement. So first tool that we use in measure phase is root cause analysis. So the objective of root cause analysis is to identify the root cause of the problem. What is the base cause? What is the reason why this is the issue that is occurring in the process? So the root cause analysis is done using a fishbone diagram, that is Ishikawa diagram. It is also called as Ishikawa diagram, and also cause effect diagram. Okay, so it identifies the causes of the problem. In the next slide, we'll be seeing the example of it, but let's see the sampling thing first. So sampling is used to collect the data for the causes identified in the fishbone diagram. So once you identify what are the causes, we have to collect the data. Okay, so you cannot work on whole data, work on whole universe. You must be knowing about sampling, you must be knowing about the population thing. So sampling is used to collect the data for the smaller subset of that represents a big population. Okay, so for the causes we find the data using the sampling methods. Let's move to the next slide. So yes, this is an example of Ishikawa diagram, that is a fishbone diagram that we use for root cause analysis, where you can see it looks like a bone, fish bone, where the middle line represents the spine of that fish, and the nodes denotes those small bones. Okay, so the middle line is nothing but the effect, that is the reason or problem that is in the process, and the nodes denotes the causes. Next. So measure phase also includes the data collection plan. So once you know which data is to be collected, we design a plan. In a particular plan, we have to collect the data for that causes. So we have determined the sample also. After determining the sample, we need to collect the data for that causes in a particular manner. So next is the capability analysis. So in capability analysis, we understand whether the process is statistically able to meet a set of client expectations or requirement. So we have to gauge a process whether it is performing within the limits of the client expected. Okay, so in capability and analysis, we understand that using the DPMO tool, that is defect per methodology, defect per million opportunity. So DPMO helps you to gauge the defects that are there in the processes. Next slide, please. So this is an example of a typical data collection plan where you can see a table, and there are some titles where we have to fill in the data where, what, how, and how much. So that is a data collection plan, and in which you have to keep on filling the data on each and every day basis. Let's move to the next slide. So the tools used in measure phase are measurement system analysis, Ishikawa diagram, that is fishbone diagram that we saw, and the data collection plan. Let's move to the next slide. Analyze phase. So in now we move to the analyze phase, where we'll be signifying the causes by the statistical tests and statistical methodology. So analyze phase includes the introduction to descriptive and inferential statistical test, identification of statistically significant causes. Okay, so here we get introduced to descriptive and inferential statistical test, that is the graphical as well as the test that we perform in the Minitab or the statistical softwares. So what we do over here is, if I know there are 10 causes, I will statistically try to signify, I will statistically try to prove that out of these 10 causes, which of the causes actually have an impact on your business goal. Next slide. So the tools that are used during the analyze phase are the data door analysis. So in data door analysis, we have descriptive analysis, where which we is also you can see that it also shows the graphs. So you can visually analyze the problem using the graphs. So first chart, we have the Pareto chart, then we have box plot, and we have scatter plot in the descriptive analysis. Next slide, please. So yes, inferential analysis. So inferential analysis talks about testing the hypothesis. We need to put a particular scenario. So after putting a scenario, you need to test it. So testing of hypothesis is done in the inferential analysis, and we also implement few of the statistical tests like two sample t-test, one way ANOVA. Now let's note one thing, that while implementing the descriptive as well as inferential analysis methods, you also need to look into what type of data you have. So data itself is categorized into types, different types. So based on that, you decide which of the test is to be implemented. Next slide, please. So just to show how the output looks and how the test results look. So this is example of two sample t-test which is performed in the Minitab, and side by side you can see that we also get a graph while performing the test, that is the box plot, and the output or the test result look in the like the box which are there on the right side, where we can see the two sample t-test for TAT, etc. And the inferences and interpretation in inferential test is drawn based on the value that is shown in the red, which is called as the p value. Next slide, please. Yes. So there's one more aspect of analysis in the analyze phase, that is identification of waste. So waste in terms of process is something that doesn't add a single value whenever it is there in the process, or its existence doesn't add a value to the processes, that is non-value added activities present in the process. So identification of waste helps us to identify the non-value added activities present in the process, which are categorized as the 9 types of waste in terms of Lean Six Sigma. So we can see these 9 wastes are transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, defects, knowledge not being used, misuse of resources. So transportation is nothing but shifting of one thing to another unnecessarily. Okay, inventory is something that is kept in a warehouse but is not needed. Okay, so it just keeps on piling up in your warehouse and it takes on the space. Next we have motion, unnecessary sending of emails, unnecessary toggling between the screens are the example of the motion. Next we have waiting time, which we everyone come across in the daily life, that is the queues in which we stand, that is nothing but the waiting, unnecessary utilization of time. Next is the overproduction, when if it is not necessary, if the process demands to produce only 12 units but still you are producing 15 units, the 3 units are nothing but the overproduction. Next we have overprocessing. So overprocessing is nothing but when you are expected to work on a product for 10 minutes but you still work on a product for 20 minutes, that is overprocessing. And next we have defects. So if there is some issue or if there is some fault in your product, it results in the defect. So defect results in nothing but the rework and scraps. Next is knowledge not being used. There are many individuals in the companies who have a knowledge of a certain thing but they do not implement it in the company, or it is not utilized by the company itself. So that is nothing but a knowledge not being used. And the misuse of resources, a very common type of waste that exists in the companies, that is nothing but resources that are used or provided for the company purpose but it is used for the personal purposes like printers, like internets, etc. So these are the waste we identify in the process. Let's move to the next slide. So yes, this is an example that we came across on LinkedIn. So here Mr. George talks about the value stream mapping concept or value stream mapping aspect. That is nothing but we identify the non-value added in the process of studying the process map to reduce the waste. So what he says is, why 20 years ago at Boeing, improvements were made with a lot of thought given to process. As I review this old document given to me by my coach Beverly Ellen, I can't help but think we have lost 20 years because we still do not teach this valuable skill. So I ask again, why? Why value stream mapping is not taught in all companies wanting to make a lasting improvement? So he has a point here. So if a company want to keep on improving day by day, if a company doesn't want to do the same errors again and again, why doesn't a company train their employees to be efficient in value stream mapping also, or to be efficient in reducing the waste in the processes? So this is what he's trying to say, and below is an example of typical VSM chart. Next slide. So now we'll be moving to the improve phase. In improve phase, we generate possible solutions for significant causes identified from the analyze phase. Now we have significantly identified which of the causes are significant on your business goals. We generate the solutions. What are the possible solutions to these problems? So it is done through various techniques. So brainstorming techniques for solution finding is done over here when a group of people sit together and discuss on what may be the solution for this problem. So that is nothing but the brainstorming. Next we refine the solution. So if you have 10 solutions, you cannot go and just implement those 10 solutions. You will refine them, and then what we do is we implement it on a smaller scale, that is pilot implementation. So while implementing on a smaller scale, we also validate the results. After a few weeks, when you see the results, we validate it using the statistical methodology. So that is nothing but the validation of results. Next slide. So this is a example of solution brainstorming. So this is how the brainstorming works with. If this is the X, then we find out different solutions for the same thing and then we refine it. Next slide. Next, we have tools that are used during the improve phase. So for solution refining, we use the N by 3 technique. That is, we decide which cause has more impact, which is actually implementable, etc. So solution refining is done there, and then we prioritize the solutions as which is important to be implemented quickly, which is to be given mid severity, etc. And then once this is decided, we have to create a solution implementation plan. So in the solution implementation plan, what happens is we give a particular time frame, or it is just a chart in which every the details are given on how the solutions are needed to be implemented and what time it is needed to be implemented. The next point is solution validation test, validation statistical hypothesis test. So these solutions after implementations are validated based on the results or the data collected in the improve phase, and the statistical tests are implemented on the data. Next slide. Sorry. So this is an example of solution refining thing. So this is how solution refining template looks like, and you have the solutions priority index in the right side, and these are the various parameters on which the solutions is gauged and refined. Next slide. So yes, we move on to the final phase, that is the control phase. So in control phase, we do sustenance of a particular solution that is implemented in the improve phase. So first we do is failure mode effect analysis, where FMEA identifies the potential excess based on the risk. So we identify what can probably go wrong, and based on that we design the product or the process. So FMEA is a structured approach to discovering the potential failures that may exist within the design of a product or the process. Next slide. So the tools that we used in the control phase are, like in other phases, we have few of the tools in the control phase also. So first tool is the control chart. Control chart helps us to monitor and control whether the process is performing within the client specification or not. As we talked in the measure phase, we check whether the process is performing within the limits what the client wants. So to check that, we implement a control chart. So the types of control chart are IMR, X bar chart, U chart, P chart. So like the data thing, this is also decided, the implementation of control chart is also decided based on the data type, the number of levels, and the number of data units present with us. So this tool has a upper control limit and the lower control limit between which the process is needed to be performing. So next, like the improve phase, we have the validation of results over here also. So if a solution is sustaining, if the improvement is sustaining, we need to validate it with the statistical evidences. Next slide. So the tools that are used during the control phase are response plan. So we need to know, okay, if anything goes wrong, which is the person I need to go and report it to, or what exactly is to be done. So if anything goes wrong, then which person should be connect is given by the response plan. And likewise, there is a monitoring plan also. So it helps to ensure that the solutions are properly implemented or not. That is also needed to be monitored. And finally, when the improvement is sustained and is observed, the documentation and project sign off is done. So this is how a Lean Six Sigma project is implemented. Let's move to the next slide. So this is how the monitoring plan also looks like, where there the uh, metric is given, and then we have the which is the type of complexity, etc., and everything is given in the monitoring plan. Next slide, please. So yes, so this was about the DMAC thing, and with this I would like to hand over to Santosh Avsarkar sir back to take it forward. Thank you, everyone.
It's fine.
So yes, thank you so much, Sonal, for just taking us through the framework. Just in a 20-25 minutes, but I think there are a lot many things which we do learn almost for by spending more than 20-25 hours actually during our sessions or anywhere you go and learn it. They do spend more than 20-25 hours and teach you the details of those techniques and tools and the methodologies and that particular projectized version. And as I told you, it's a projectized version, right? So you have 4 to 5 months. Within 5 months of time, you got to deploy the project, and that will help companies generate the benefits, right? That's what we are talking about, and that is why companies value it. If something takes more than 2 years or 3 years, return on investment is after 4 or 5 years, or after even a couple of years, companies will not value that. But within 4 to 5 months of time, when you deploy the projects and start showing the results within the monetary benefits for the companies will definitely take it. And it's not one project at a time. By the way, you're doing 10, at least 10 to 15 different projects at a time, from different processes, different locations, different plants, different machineries, or for that matter, different towers, where we call it a tower verticals, I would say, or departments. So that is the value of Lean Six Sigma, starting with understanding the problem, then knowing how what could be root cause for that, then understanding and how much deep that particular problem is, then understanding where that particular problem lies, finding out statistically significant causes behind it, then providing some solutioning, somehow deploying the solutions on a pilot basis for testing it, whether these particular solutions are working or not. Then once we are deploying the solutions, and validating it whether actually results are there, through statistical testing, and finally through control charts, sustaining the result. And then we hand it over to the operations, and that is how we do it across all the projects. And that is how we deploy all these Lean Six Sigma projects, starting with green belt level projects with say 25 to $50,000 worth benefit, black belt level projects with more than 500,000 to $1 million worth of benefit, not one single project, multiple projects. And then after a few years, master black belt, who deploy the business excellence program with multiple projects with more than 20 or 10 to 15, for that matter, $1 million worth benefit to the companies. So whether it's the oil and gas companies, banking sectors, or your insurance sector, or your manufacturing sector, IT, call centers, BPOs, or whatever sectors, even government sectors, they all need this kind of expertise. So that's about phase 2 framework. Please bear with me for next 10 minutes. I'm going to cover up with the Insight Fellowship program, which we have initiated and got an overwhelming response, in India. So just give me 10 minutes. Then I think we'll take the session to the question answer session. So let's move to the next slide. So our aim is to develop more than 1 lakh Lean Six Sigma expert. That's what my lifetime goal. I'm right now 41 years old, and I hope I'll live at least for 70 long years. So 30 more years are there with me. So I want to build more than 1 lakh Lean Six Sigma experts globally in lowest fees, so that money shouldn't destroy anyone's dream to pursue glorious career. Honestly, this is what I believe. When I came from a humble background, I know the value of money, and that's what I think that it has to be there. All these expertise is supposed to be there with all of them, not only with the special individuals, but with every one of them. And that's what, with that particular goal, we are just heading towards with our Insight Fellowship program. So let me go through the next slides. What happened, there are like different players. KPMG, in India, they do provide these services. American Society of Quality do provide it. Then ISI, that is Indian Statistical Institution, they also provide these services, and some other players also there. But their focus is on professionals, where when you get trained with 10 to 15 days of training, you just go and start deploying the project, because you're working in an organization, very easily you get the projects. But in case of graduates and postgraduates, that's not easy, because once you're done with your training, if you'll not start deploying the skill sets, you'll start forgetting it. And that's where for professional, it's good, they do get the project within their own organization. But for young professional, graduates and postgraduates, they have to have something to deploy their skill sets. So all they need is a real life project experience. Of course, multiple revisions. These things things when you start learning it. Of course, maybe in a one round you may not be able to understand everything. As brain need a couple of rounds, 2 or 3 rounds of revisions. I think by the time you'll start understanding it quite well. I personally, when I started with my grade 12 15 years back, I took almost 3 months to understand it, because brain, to be very honest, it takes some time initially to get adjusted with the things, and that's where revisions matters, and flexible payment terms. So unfortunately, in India, for that matter, no other institutions do have these particular things, and that is why we thought our focus is not on professionals. Our focus is more or less on young professionals, means like the pass out 1 or 2 years experienced people, or a graduates who are doing a graduation right now, first year till final year, or who are doing post graduations, MBAs, and all those first year, second year students in MBS. So we are doing it for those individuals. Our focus is on them with this expertise. This is a recent survey I'm going to talk about from India Today. That's one of the renowned, Indian media giant. And last year they came up with this particular study, how to impact the employability pool. And these three factors very important. They talked about live simulated environment with real deliverables, which matters. Be hands-on, do-it-yourself approach. See industry expert as a mentor. I'm going to read out the last sentence. This will increase an employable base of engineers. I'm sure not only engineers, for anyone, and also maximize job opportunities. So live simulated environment, hands-on experience, and industry experts support or mentorship. So these are the key things for enhancing employability of any graduate, postgraduate. So let me come up and talk about Pᴜsɪᴟ Inside Fellowship Program. I had exposure in US for this kind of program, but in India, we were the first one to start it. But in the field of Lean Six Sigma and operational excellence, perhaps we are the first one globally who are doing Inside Fellowship Program. In the fraternity of operational excellence. So we are starting it, and we are getting good result out of it for students. So Pᴜsɪᴟ Inside Fellowship Program. What are you going to cover into this? Lean Six Sigma Green Belt training workshop, almost 6 to 8 days. That too, 3 to 6. That's what the timeline we kept, because students do have their colleges right in the morning. The way Saadman also told me, sir, students they do have their lectures till 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, you tell me anytime students can be available. So we also understand that our sessions normally we do conduct in the evening, 3 to 6. Where we go through the conceptualization with the real life cases. Sonal ma'am just give you few examples, but then that's just for 15-20 minutes session. When we are talking about 20 hours plus session, right, we're going to come up with real life experiences. Then we are going to come up with the first real life simulated or mock LSSDB project. That's on turnaround time or customer resolution time reduction project. We're going to show you how to do that particular project. So how are we learning the things? When somebody, my boss used to tell me this thing, that when somebody show you how to do the things, that is the first step. Second, when that individual do the things with you, that is the second step. And third step is he or she will let you do the things, and they will monitor or mentor if you're doing it correctly or not. So show them how to do it, do with them, and then let them do it, and be there with them as a mentor. If they're going to make any mistake, you be around with them. This is what I learned from Afsan, and that's what I always treat him as, not only my elder brother, but my mentor as well. So this is the way. First real life stimulated project, we are going to show how to do the things, so students will start understanding it. Graduates will start understanding. Then virtual internship. We are providing a virtual internship from Pᴜsɪᴟ. That's a Indian company. Up to 75 days, we are going to have this virtual internship. We name it intern. E stand for excellence. So it's a internship in the field of excellence. So that's why I call it internship. Descriptive and inferential data analysis and reporting. So whatever tag project we do have, so we provide the data, so that student will start, working on, this descriptive and inferential data analysis. So they'll start getting the feel of the projects. That's the first thing. Then the second project, a real life simulated mock LSS Lean Six Sigma Green Belt project quality. then we'll provide a third project as well. Once you are done with the second project, you'll do the third project. So you will start getting hands-on experience on your own through these mock projects. And by the way, when I'm saying mock, these are not fake projects. These are the projects based on our previous or current clients. Only thing is we can't name that client because we do sign NDAs with the client. So this is a classified thing. So we don't give the names of the client. We do some changes here and there, and we do provide real life scenarios to the students. And that's what our virtual internships are there. Which you can do it from anywhere. To be very honest, many of our students are based outside of Maharashtra, based out of Dubai as well, right? So I mean, they are ready to do it, from there. So virtual internship. So that's the virtual. You can sit at your own place, at your own station. We'll provide you, the projects. You'll start working on the projects and get the exposure. And of course, finally the certification, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification, which you'll get, and internship completion certification as well. You'll get as a letter that you have completed it successfully. So this is how the things will go, which will last for say 2 months to 3 months of period. Few students do ask for some extension because they do have some health issues. For that matter, the exams do come in between. So we do provide that 10-15 days of extension. So it's not like a hard and fast rule that you have to complete it in 75 days. You may get extension of additional 10-15 days because of these adequate reasons or logic for your exams and some illness and all those things. So I think this is about inside fellowship program, flexible payment term. This is also very crucial. The average fees of Lean Six Sigma Green Belt anywhere is around, in India, is around 22,000 rupees. In US, I told you about those universities, they cost more than rupees 3 lakhs, which is close to 3,36,000 takas in Bangladesh currencies. For a green belt, for black belt, more than rupees 6 lakhs, which is around 7.2 lakhs takas, in Bangladesh currency. In India, it is around rupees 22,000. But due to Corona ill effect, that's what we said, one cannot easily afford. Even in India, it's not that easy for students or their parents to manage those expenses. So we said we understand it. So right now we just pay only rupees 3,000. That's what we are saying. 3,000 is like a pocket money for the students. They can very easily manage it. That's one time you do it. Then you take the sessions, complete the workshop, then you complete your internship, get your certificates, get into the market, get for a job, do job. After a couple of years time, you come back and pay rest of the 19,000 to us. So once you settle in your career, that's what we're telling to the students, and that's quite easy for students. 3,000 very easily I can manage. Managing 22,000 is a bit difficult, like 26, 27,000 takas, is very difficult. But 3,003 is very easy for manage to them. And then after a couple of years, once I get settled, I can very easily come back, because prior to that, we already have completed my graduation, my internship, my fellowship. I'm getting into job, earning good salaries, and I can very easily repay the rest of the amount. And honestly, we tell them, and we do follow it. We don't chase student for rest of the fees. Never. That will never happen, because many students do ask this question, sir, whether you will chase us back, whether you will keep on asking for money. We will never ask you the money back. It's up to you whether you want to come back and pay the rest of the fees or not. So that's about the flexible terms of the payment. Free revisions, that's there. I already talked about that. Free multiple revisions to relearn LSS GB skill sets again and again. For the other valuable free models, advanced MS Excel, that is needed thing. I know that's that is also a very crucial thing, because Lean Six Sigma do need database to work around, right? So you have data, you have to have Excel based skill sets. So all those skill sets you're talking about, Excel, pivot, Dan, H lookup, B lookups, and all those, you got to have the expertise. And that's where our expert will teach you on that. So that's a free MS Excel model, but that model will take before we start with the Lean Six Sigma training, because we need students to get acquired or equipped with all these skill sets. And that's why we start with the advanced MS Excel module, and then we'll get into Lean Six Sigma models, right? So that's about advanced MS Excel. Competency based. So I'm a CBI, a competency based interviewer. So that's another thing you can check on a net, how to build that resumes based based on competency-based interviewing and GDs and interviews and all those things. I have conducted more than thousands of interviews in my life, and I because of that competency-based interviewing thing. So that really helps a lot, while I get recruited. So that is what we do, conduct a separate workshop for our students, half a day workshop, and diplomatic business communications. Honestly, when I went to US on a fellowship, I was on a teaching assistantship, right, TA, where I need to teach over there. So while teaching, since you are from South Asia, India, you got to clear some test over there. And honestly, many of Indians or even that included Bangladeshi friends of mine, we failed in that test. So they asked us to attend one course, a 3G, I mean, the course we need to attend over there for 3 months. And we attended that course, and they taught us about diplomatic business communication. Because my own university in US is more or less industry finance-based university. So one of the richest university in world, perhaps in US too, in world as well, because they do have a wonderful industry academia tie-up where industry used to fund them for the consultancies and research and all those. So to interact with industry people, our professors used to take us, and we used to be assistant to them, right? Where negotiations and hypnotic conversations and persuasions and all these skill sets, those are matters a lot. Perhaps that is one of the most important, perhaps the gift I would say from US to me. That's about diplomatic business communication, and that is needed in any corporate world. So I guess that's what we are going to cover up in one of our workshop as well. So these are the free modules. And finally, mother of all offers, all those who pay rest of the fees, 19,000, will come back and pay 19,000 in next couple of years of time. We provide Lean Six Sigma Black Belt program, which is worth right now 70 to 80,000 in India. In Bangladesh currency, it is close to 90,000 to 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh takas, absolutely free of cost. No one right now on this planet do provide black belt free of cost, because black belt is their business. So they do charge people a lot for a black belt. And we say that all those graduates, postgraduates, young professional will trust us, come back, will be loyal, to be very honest with us. Loyal means, who will be, honest with us, come back and pay us our rest of the fees of Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. We'll give them 70,000 to 80,000 worth Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, 40 hours, 8 days extensive session on advanced Lean Six Sigma Black Belt free of cost. So I guess that is what we do provide. And on that particular note, again, only 500 global graduates, because from India, not more than 500 students, graduates, and from rest of the world, 500 graduates from more than 25 crore passing this year will get opportunity to differentiate. Because it got to be a differentiating factor. It's not for the whole world, because then it will lose its differentiating skill, differentiating ability. So we want to just focus only on thousands of them every year, and that is what we are just going and heading towards. So 500 global graduates and 500 Indian graduates. That's how we're just taking it ahead. So those will get a differentiating skills to compete a cutthroat competition. I guess that's it from my end. Opportunity will knock the door once, grab it or try ignoring. So I guess that's about the third phase. I hope few of you are still there around. So I'm just handing it over back to Saadman and Miss Neem so that we can have a question answer session right now.
Yeah,
we can take
thank you. Yeah, thank you for this. And first of all, I need to say sorry about this, because a lot of departments have class tests tomorrow, so a lot of people had to leave early. And we are going to upload this in YouTube later, the recording, and I will send you the message myself via LinkedIn. But I do have some questions recorded. First of all, which things should we keep in head to get to encounter a drop year after graduation? I mean, how can LSS help me in this case?
Absolutely. Will you please just come up with your question so that I'll really get back to you on this right away. I mean that question, I believe I understood it, but I really want you to repeat that question. Will it be okay for you?
Yeah, it's sure. Which things should we keep in head to get encountered on a drop year after graduation? For this COVID situation, a lot of people are having drops, right? So can LSS help us in this case?
Absolutely, it will definitely help you because this is the most important differentiating factor, for the graduates. Whether you're passing out, whether you're final year student, whether you're third year student. If you're taking a drop right now because of Corona ill effect, you can learn this and you can, to be very honest, simultaneously start consulting with the small and mid-sized companies too based on this expertise. Large cap companies will definitely hire you, but if not a large cap, at least in meanwhile, getting back or joining back to your education, you can start deploying your expertise into this. I'm sure you must have heard about ISO consultant. There
Yeah.
are a lot many company consultant who provide ISO kind of expertise. Lean Six Sigma is the most valuable, valuable over ISO thing, right? So you people can start contributing, and there are a lot many small and mid-sized companies starting reaching out. I'll just give you one example through one of my friend. His name is Saif, who's again based out of Bangladesh. Afsan introduced me to Saif, and Saif introduced me to Dr. Redhunan. So Saif is one of the so-called RMG so-called businessman, who is a Bangladeshi businessman, but who is based out of who is settled in Singapore. So with SAF, we are reaching out to many small and mid-sized companies to deploy business excellence to them, right? So
Yeah.
when you learn all this expertise, you can drive business excellence projects for those small and why small and mid-sized. You can drive it for any companies across. So you can do it simultaneously. I hope I understood your question correctly and
Yeah,
I
you
answered
did.
it.
You did.
Okay.
Yeah. And my second question is, so all we, let's just say I don't know about LSS, and anyone would think that it's basically it would be helpful for people who are studying in industrial and production engineering, or IPE in short. But let's just say I am a student from BME department, a biomedical engineering department. Will LSS be able to help me in this kind of specific um, sectors in my job sector? I mean, is it a
I
department
understood.
based work, or is will it like support all departments of engineering?
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell you why. My colleague Harshad right now, who's with me, he is from electronics and telecommunication background. There are a couple of other colleagues. They are from statistics department, statistic background. Then Sonal ma'am, who has just taken us through, she is from biotechnology department, and she did her
Okay.
MBA, and now she is doing it. So there are like plenty of people across various. And I'm from a pharmaceutical background. I already told you, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this is across sector and across your departments, any engineering department, because anyhow engineering get associated with certain industry. Mechanical get associated with mechanical industry, electronics and telecommunication get associated with telecommunication industry, IT industry, IT department get associated with software industry or IT industry, right? All these industry do have the inefficiency. You name any industry, I can tell you the figures of how much is the inefficiency across those industries. So everywhere they need this expert, and they're always going to be an opportunity for these individuals across. And that is why, as I told you, this is not only for a manufacturing, this is for pan sectors. You name the sector. In fact, honestly, I tell you, I was not aware about Lean Six Sigma is applicable in agriculture sector as well. You talked about engineering sector. Let me
Yeah.
give you an example of agriculture sector. So few years back, 2 or 3 years back, I heard that there is concept called lean agriculture. In agriculture also they are using this particular thing. So rest of field, I mean your NASA's and you name the industry, even governments also use all this expertise. So once you have this expertise, you can go anywhere globally across any sector, provided you start with green belt right now, then couple of years black belt, and then you go for a master black belt down the lines 8 to 9 years. That's what my point is.
Okay, so that explains that no matter which department you're from, it's going to help you in your career path.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so my next question is, let's just say, um, do I have any limitations in building career around the LSS? I mean, all you just said about are the advantages. Are there any limitations in this?
Limitations of having lean Six Sigma expertise, to be very honest, no, honestly, because again, this I can tell you by my own experience, right? In
Yeah.
fact, I tell you, this is how it is beneficial is, after a couple of years, couple of 2 or 3 years, if you want to switch from one sector to other sector, it will be benefiting over there. Now, let me think about what could be the drawback of lean Six Sigma. Again, the drawback, I would say, I haven't seen a drawback. I mean, there might be drawback with the things, no doubt about that. But yes, let me give you the drawback as well. Drawback would be whatever career you will, I mean, whatever company you will join. If that company to have a different geographical locations, then this role need to be deployed across different geographical locations, right? So 20 to 30% is your traveling time. You got to keep on traveling. Of course, you travel it through the air, no doubt about that. But I think that is one thing, where you got to you got to have at least 25 to 30% of traveling across location. That is one drawback, perhaps. The second drawback, I will not consider this drawback, but 9 to 10 hours is your working hours. That's what it do consume some working hours. And honestly, initially, when you start your journey for first 5 years, it's an individual performance job. So you are the one who going to perform it, deploy it, and simultaneously you learn the things. But post that, post your black belt, you will get into higher level position, like AVP or senior manager level position, where you have your separate team. So you can direct the team to do the things. But initially, for first 5 years, even as a
So you
manager.
mean higher stage and higher preferences or higher specifications, right?
Exactly, exactly. So expectations are quite high, So initially, for first 4 to 5 years, you will be working as individual performers, where there is no one below you. You need to do the things on your own. You got to learn, deploy the things on your own. So there'll be a bit pressure on you, no doubt about that. That could be one of the disadvantage right now, but that is good for you, because down the line, 5 years, when you have your own team, you need to just deploy the projects through the teams. So I guess if you travel, frequent travel, across the locations. If you have a different location, different bases across your country, across different countries, then you got to keep on traveling. At least 25 to 30% is your travel. If you like traveling, I think nothing like that. That is the one thing. Second thing is, of course, as I told you, it's an individual performer role for first 4 or 5 years. That would be quite hectic initially for first 4 or 5 years, but thereafter life you'll enjoy the life like anything. As simple as that.
So basically, we just gather our experience, get good at it, and then we will get associates. Then we can work on.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
that's a good thing. Yeah. So the last question to me about you this if I just want to apply for the workshops, how should I contact you guys?
Okay, absolutely. So in that case, of course, I believe we are in touch with the Saadman. We can do one thing that we can have a maybe the Saadman we can come up with a plan how to deploy it. Maybe your own institutions can be the place where from here we can have an association with your institution, and
Yeah,
then
I
we
can
can
do that.
deploy it across Dhaka, for that matter, Mirpur, and around the Bangladesh. I'm
Yes.
absolutely open for that. So we can plan it, and then we can take it out. The way we are doing it here, we do have a tie-ups with various associations, various institutions, engineering colleges and MBA colleges. We can have such an association. We are quite open for that, and then maybe we can take it ahead from there. So we can plan it, Sadman, and we can take it ahead from there.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. So that's pretty much it because let's just be honest, you guys have already covered everything in the webinar. So yeah, thank you for being with us. And I also thank the other guys, Ms. Sonal and others. And the participants are really low. I'm really sorry for that. Like I said
Absolutely.
before, people are really busy and they haven't been able to continue the whole part. But yeah, I will upload it later on YouTube and then I will send you the link myself. And that time they can use it and they can even ask you questions. And even if they ask me questions, I can forward it to you, right?
Anytime you can call, for that matter, calling is of course also possible, but you can connect me at any time. We
Okay.
can ahead. I just want to be around with you people, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm not from your country, but you can trust me. I really want to give my share into your country's growth, and this is my way to contribute. So I'm absolutely open. Not only me, my whole team is open. So we are there. So let's connect together and let's create something historical, for the country's sake. I think we can do it together.
Yes, inshallah, we can do that. And thank you for being with us. That would be the end of our webinar.